Hello there and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I am Neota Igbe. Our headlines. Strike by resident doctors continues across the country, enters the second day. Calls continue for illegal structures to be removed from waterways in Benue State and across Nigeria. Cross River State turns its attention to solid mineral sector for internal revenue generation. And now to the details on those stories. Low compliance is responsible for the destructive flooding in Benue State as well as other parts of the country. This explanation was offered by the Director General of the Nigerian Hydrological Services, Mr. Moses Beckley. According to Mr. Beckley, this year's floods were also the result of the late rainfall and the intensity with which it came. Mr. Beckley was speaking after he inspected the Markadi flood sites in the company of the Minister of State for Environment. He explains that communities in low-lying areas with inadequate drainage systems could not cope with the torrential rainfall.
The rains did not start in time. There was late rain onset, and therefore, when they started coming, as we are still going to experience, they came in torrents, and for a very long period. And that's why we are having what we are having now. Now, as to whether the people have heeded to what the alerts that were issued out, I would say that no, because for those who are lying, say, in low-lying areas, if adequate drainage systems have not been provided, or if they have been provided and they are blocked, then of course you expect this kind of thing to happen when it rains in torrents. Now, I want to appeal through this medium that people who are still erecting structures like that, because most times these structures or these lands are more or less free. So they get there, they erect these structures, and there are no adequate drainage system, and then they are exposing their lives to danger. So we hope that with the support of the local government, the state government, the appropriate things will be done to avert such occurrences.
Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Environment, Ibrahim Jibril, who was part of that visit, wants owners of illegal structures obstructing waterways in Benue State to remove them. As I said, he was part of that visit to the state. He reiterated the fact that such a devastation could have been avoided if the water channels were clear. In the meantime, Governor Samuel Otom, who welcomed the visiting team from the federal government, has given assurances that the intervention funds from the federal government would be judiciously used.
The Governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, receiving the Minister of State for Environment, Mr. Ibrahim Jibril, at the Government House as part of the federal government's follow-up assessment visit to Benue State flood sites. When the minister settles down for business, Governor Otom recounts how most parts of the state are currently suffering from ecological problems and pledges to judiciously apply any form of intervention funds from the federal government to solve the issues.
This particular flooding is affecting about 21 local governments. We're having, in some places, the bridges, culverts have been washed out, roads have been divided into two. Most of our communities do not have access to their various places. So it is a big challenge.
Done with the briefing, the minister heads out to North Bank axis of the state capital, where erosion is threatening residents in the area. The minister, in company of the deputy governor, Mr. Benson Mabunu, also visits the Idie River Basin, which runs from Wurukum through Idie village, one of the most threatened areas. The team also visits the Achusa swamp, where over 1,000 houses were submerged a few days ago, before leaving for the IDP camp, where this mother of two tells her story.
Nepa quarters, now water pursue me. Why I come live here? Why don't spoil me everything for my loan?
After addressing the IDPs, The Deputy Governor gives an overview of the floods, while the Minister appeals to residents whose properties are blocking water channels to cooperate with government to remove such buildings.
I can tell you that the properties destroyed were monumental because the water level was such that in most places that were flooded, water rose up to lintel level. And it came very suddenly because it rained throughout the night and people thought all was well. But about 10 o'clock the following morning, water just surged.
We know at the beginning of this year there was a warning given by NIMET about the imminent flood. But a lot of the things that happen is people build on these waterways. People tend to block channels. And I've gone around Makadi and I've seen some of these areas that building ought not to be there.
Concerning the areas affected by the floods, the structural integrity of the houses need to be determined in order to avoid a situation where there is a building collapse for the returning IDPs.
And the strike by the National Association of Resident Doctors in its second day, patients continue to bear the brunt of this. Skeletal services are being run in some of the hospitals visited. In states like Yobe State, consultants and other non-resident doctors say they are in solidarity with their striking colleagues, but will have to continue work because of the volatile nature of security there. It's only the second day of the doctors' strike, but the effects are already evident in the hospitals. Patients are coming, but there are not enough doctors to attend to them. Only skeletal services in most of the hospitals. In Yobe State, northeast Nigeria, the general doctors insist they are in solidarity with their counterparts, but they have to work because of the volatile nature of security.
Well, I came for antenatal. As you can see, the line is not moving. Though I had a resident doctor will be on strike yesterday. I had it on news, but I came to hospital, though they collected our card and we are on queue, but the line is not responding. Doctors are not responding to us.
At the National Eye Center in Kaduna, northwestern Nigeria, only a handful of hospital staff are seen going about their duties. The numbers are not adequate to meet the high demand.
I'm just hearing it that doctors are on strike, but they say we should patiently wait. They will be attended to, maybe by a doctor, because the nurses have seen me. I'm appealing to the doctors that God should touch their heart to come attend to the patients.
However, the center's authorities say adequate arrangements have been made to ensure that emergency cases are well treated.
We have our own alternative plans to deliver emergency services and attend to people who come to seek our services, and hoping the negotiations will go on and everything will get resolved as quickly as possible.
The reverse is the case in Calabar, South Nigeria. At the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, the management says they are still awaiting the official notification for the strike action.
We are yet to receive an official notice of the strike, but we do know that at the national level, the National Association of Resident Doctors of Nigeria had declared a strike. But as management of the hospital here, the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, we are yet to be served the strike notice.
Hopefully a settlement will be reached and the doctors can go back to work. Meanwhile, the patients may not have to worry too much, as the health minister has directed the chief medical directors of federal government-owned hospitals to ensure that healthcare services are not interrupted. Professor Isaac Adewale wants them to engage the services of consultants, doctors on internship, and youth corps doctors temporarily pending the time the issues with the striking resident doctors are resolved. The minister is assuring Nigerians that the federal government health facilities will be open for health services, while arrangements are also on the go to use armed forces, police and federal road safety health facilities across the country. He is optimistic that the problem would be resolved soon. And when news of Cross returns, Cross River State government turns to its solid minerals deposit for investments. Join us again.